Okay.
If one said to another, I am selling you a base core of earth, and it contained crevices 10 handbreadths deep, or rocks 10 handbreadths high, they are not measured with it. If they were less than this, they are measured with it. If he said to him, I am selling you like a base core of earth, even if it contained crevices deeper than 10 tefachim, or rocks higher than 10 tefachim, they are measured with it. If one said to another, I am selling you a base core of earth as measured by a rope, and if he gave even the slightest amount less, he must deduct. If he gave even the slightest amount more, he must give back. If he said whether less or more, even if he gave a quarter cob less per saw, or a quarter cob more than saw, it becomes his. If it was more than this, he should make a reckoning, and what does he give back? Money. But if the seller prefers, he gives him back the land. Why did they say that he gives back money? To improve the position of the seller, so that if there remained an area of 9 cobs in the field, or half a cob in the garden, or a quarter cob according to Rabbi Akiva, he may give back the land. Moreover, it is not only the quarter cob that he gives back, but all the excess. Okay. Oh, what happened?
And Gimel?
Okay. Oh, let's go with this way. No, okay. If he said, I am selling you as measured by a rope, it may be less or more. The condition be it less or more negates the condition of as measured by a rope. If he said, be it less or more as measured by a rope, the condition as measured by a rope negates the condition be it less or more. These are the words of Reb Ben Nanas. If he described it by its marks and boundaries, if the difference is less than a sixth, he must accept it. But anything down to a sixth, he deducts.
Okay. So he says, okay, I'm selling you half of this field. He doesn't specify which half. Okay, so what does he do? They have to make a compromise between them. And he can take half of his field. Now, what's not explicitly stated over here is that the seller is entitled to choose which half he wants. So if you have one half that's of superior, if you've got one area that's of superior quality, then you can. So let's say it's all according to how much crop it will produce. So let's say this is half of the crop is produced by 1/3 on this end of the field, and the remaining 2/3 only produces another half. So you can keep the 1/3 that produces the half, because that's easier to maintain a smaller piece of land.
Right.
And that's what he gets to keep. We always give the advantage to the seller, because he's the one who ultimately is the one who's muhsa, and he's choosing to part with his land. Okay. However, if he says the half in the south, I'm going to sell you, then he's then the southern portion is the portion that he's selling, and you've got to work out where's the 50% mark on the southern side. Okay. And the buyer accepts the fact that of the part of the field that he's selling is also he's also going to have to contribute to the area where they're going to put up the fence, a ditch, and a small ditch. What's a small ditch? These are basically to prevent rodents and other pests from crossing. I don't know how well that works, but that's what they do. How much is the depth of a ditch? It's 6 tefachim. Uben charitz is 3. So that, and a small ditch is 3 tefachim. Okay. The other important points. To prevent the nimia, a weasel, I think, or maybe a marten. Okay. Perik Ches. Yesh Nochlin or Manchilin. So now we're moving into the laws of Yerusha. Okay. So what the Mishna it gives us is basically you have 4 different types of relationships between people, where A and let's say person A, person B, where A and B will inherit and bequeath to each other. Okay. Yesh nochlin v'lo manchilin. Then there's the one-way relationship where he inherits but does not bequeath, Manchilin v'lo nochlin, and the converse, where he bequeaths but does not inherit. Lo nochlin v'lo manchilin, and you have relationships where, even though they're technically related, there's no Yerusha between them at all. Okay, so let's dive into it. Elu nochlin manchilin. So the following relationship is completely reciprocal. Ha'avim habanim, it's a banim. Habanim is ha'av. So father and son. So sons naturally inherit their fathers, and if a son dies without his own Yorshim, then the father inherits back from the son. So that is a reciprocal relationship where each one can inherit from the other. And brothers from the say and brothers who are related through their father. So if you have half brothers who are related through their father, each one of them can inherit from the other, and the relationship is reciprocal, because as we'll see a little bit later. Ishto. Now we have the non-reciprocal relationships. A man and his wife, and a man Ish is imo, Ish is ishto. A man and his mother, a man and his wife. Ubnei achayos, and cousins who are and cousins through whose mothers are sisters. Okay, nochelin v'lo manchilin. They can bequeath to each other, but they cannot inherit from each other. B'nei achayos. So no, it's not the cousins situation. B'nei achayos. It's a nephew and an aunt.
I'm sorry, what is it? It's
a nephew and an aunt.
Nephew
the nephew to the aunt. Right. So let's just look at this at the simple case for the man and his mother. So if his mother has inherited from, because let's say she has no brothers, so she's inherited property, and she dies. Let's say her husband is already dead. Okay, so normally her husband would inherit her, but if she doesn't have a husband, then her sons inherit her. Okay, so but if the son dies before the mother doesn't inherit anything. It goes to the father, and the father's Yorshim. Okay, and when it comes to a wife, the husband inherits the wife if she dies, but the wife does not inherit the husband if he dies. And if you've got an aunt and the nephew, so if let's say the mother is no longer alive, and the aunt has no children, and it was her only sister, so if she dies, then the inheritance is going to go to her sister, and since her sister's not alive, then it'll go down to her son. But if her son dies, then the inheritance goes again through his father, not through his mother's side. Ha'isha es baneha. Now, what happens if you've got a woman and her sons? Okay, so this is exactly the opposite relationship. Ha'isha es bala, and the woman to her husband, and the brothers of the mother. Manchilin v'lo nochilin. Again, they bequeath, but they do not inherit. So it's just describing exactly the reverse. I describe both relationships in one go, but the Mishna specifies them separately, just looking at the other end of the relationship. And if you have maternal brothers, they have no inheritance relationship between them whatsoever. Okay, now Mishnah base dives into the order of Nachala. So if a man dies and he doesn't have a son, and he will transfer his property to his daughter. Okay, his inheritance to the daughter. So what do we learn from this passage? Ben kodin labas, that sons take precedence over daughters. So let's say the son already had died, but he had children of his own. The nachala nonetheless goes through the son's line to his heirs before it would come back to the daughter. Okay. However, the daughter comes before the brothers of the parent. So if the father has only daughters, and he's got lots of brothers, nonetheless his daughters inherit from him, not his brothers. Yotze Yerecha shel Bas Kodmin La'achin. And if the daughter had already died, but she has children, then the grandchildren take the Yerusha. Achin Kodmin La'achei Ha'av. And brothers take precedence over the brothers of the father, right? So because again, it goes up to the father, and the father's nachlala wants to go down first to his children, not to his siblings. Okay, so yotze yerechan shel achin kodmin la'achin ha'av, and again, their heirs take precedence over their uncles. And the general rule is that if somebody takes precedence in inheritance, then their heirs also take precedence in inheritance. And the father takes precedence over all of his children. So, for example, if you have a child, let's say you've got a father who's got 3 children, 3 sons, to keep it simple, and the first son dies. His nachala goes first to the father. It doesn't go to the brothers. It's first to the father, and then only if the father dies do the brothers take that nachala. Okay, so it's a fairly simple rule to follow where nachala goes. You just say that if the nachala wants to go downwards. Okay, we talk about when we talk about tumah, we say tumah wants to go out. Okay, Nachala wants to go down. So the first thing it wants to go down, and it has an affinity for boys. So if you can go down and find boys, then it finds boys. If you can't find boys, it'll find girls. And again, even if the girl isn't there, but she's got descendants, then it wants to go down. Okay. So if it can't go down, then Nachala moves only vertically. So if it can't go down, then it must go up. So it'll find the father. But if there's no father, then it will try and see, well, okay, I didn't want to go up so much. Let's go up one generation and try this again. Do we have any sons we can go to? So now, oh yeah, there's a brother. Boom, it goes to the brother. Or if there's no brother, then is there a sister? Yes, it goes to the sister. So you can visualize it like that. But Nachala always wants to go down. If it has to, it will go up, but it'll only go up one level before it tries to go down again. Okay, that's my simple way of looking at things. Okay, Dalet Ches.
Okay, look at this. That's the end.
Yeah, that's the last.
Right.
So Dalet Ches now.
One who sells a field has sold the stones which are needed for it. The reeds in the vineyard are needed for it. The produce which is attached to the ground, the clump of reeds which covers less than the area of a quarter cob, and the watchman's hut which is not plastered, the ungrafted carob tree, and a virgin sycamore. However, if he has not sold the stones which are not needed for it, nor the reeds in the vineyard that are not needed for it, nor the produce which is attached from the ground, when he said to him, it and all that is in it, they are all sold. In any case, he has not sold the clump of reeds which covers the area of a quarter cob, nor the watchman's hut which is plastered, nor the grafted carob tree, nor the crop sycamore, nor the pit, nor the winepress, nor the dovecote, and whether they are in the use or not. They are in disuse or in use. He must buy back a right of way. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva, and the Chachamim, however, say he need not. Rabbi Akiva admits that when he said to him, except for these, he need not buy back a right of way. And the sages, however, say he must buy back a right of way. In regard to what is it stated, in regard to a sale, but one who gives a gift gives all of it. When brothers divide an inheritance, those who acquire a field acquire all of them, and one who takes possession of the state of a convert, if he takes possession of a field, he takes possession of all of them. One who consecrates a field consecrates all of them. And Reb Shimon says only one who consecrates a field is consecrated, only the grafted carob tree and the crop sycamore. Oh, what happened to you? Wait a second. Wait. Don't touch those buttons. Okay, leave those buttons alone. Okay, now what did you do? Move your paw. Okay. Can't see you. There you are. Okay. Touch the stuff. Okay. Don't play with the keys. One who sells a ship has sold the meat of the mast. One who the sail, the anchor, and all the oars. but he has not sold the slaves, the cargo stacks, or the cargo. When he said to him, it and all that is in it, they are all sold. If he sold the wagon, he did not sell the mules. If he sold the mules, he did not sell the wagon. If he sold the yoke, he did not sell the oxen. And if he sold the oxen, he did not sell the yoke. If Yehuda says, the price informs us, how so? If he said to him, sell me your yoke for 200 zuz, it is well known that a yoke does not cost 200 zuz. The sages, however, say the price is not proof. And one who sells a donkey has not sold this.
We've done 3.
That was 3?
Yeah. Okay, Bava Metzia, Hey Daled.
You have something to say? No? Okay. A storekeeper may not be set up for half the profit, nor may money be given to which to buy produce at half profit, unless he gives him his wages as a laborer. Hens may not be set to brood at half profit, nor may calves or foals be assessed at half profit, unless he gives them the wages of his toil and his feed. But calves or foals may be accepted for half profit and raised until they reach 1/3 of their growth, and a donkey until they can bear a burden. A cow or donkey or anything that works and eats may be assessed at half profit. In a place where they are accustomed to divide the offspring immediately, they divide them. In a place where they are accustomed to raise them, they must raise them. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says a calf may be assessed while his mother, and a foal with his mother. One may increase the rent of his field and need not fear that it is interest. That's it, right?
No, one more.
Sorry. Fixed value property may not be accepted from a Jew because it is interest, but fixed value property may be accepted from Gentiles, and we may borrow from them and lend them with interest. Okay.
You didn't finish.
How it is with the resident alien. A Jew may lend out a Gentile's money with the knowledge of a Gentile, but not with the knowledge of a Jew.
Okay.
Sota. Okay, Zion Het. In what manner was the Torah passage of the king read? At the conclusion of the first Yom Tov of the Sukkot festival, and in the 8th year, at the conclusion of the 7th year, they make a wooden beam for him in the temple courtyard, and he sits upon it, and it is stated at the end of 7 years on the occasion of the attendant of the synagogue takes the Torah scroll and gives it to the head of the synagogue. The head of the synagogue gives it to the deputy Kohen. The deputy Kohen gives it to the Kohen Gadol, and the Kohen Gadol gives it to the king. And the king stands up to accept the scroll, but reads it seated. King Agrippa stood up, accepted the scroll, and read while standing, and the sages praised him. When he reached the verse, "You may not install a foreigner or king over you," his eyes filled with tears, and they said to him, "Do not fear, Agrippa, you are our brother, you are our brother, you are our brother." He reads from the beginning of Devarim, and these are the words until the verse beginning. Hear, then, hear, and it will come to pass if you will hearken, you shall surely tithe. When you have finished tithing, the biblical passage concerning the king, and the blessings and curses, until he includes the entire passage. Those blessings that the Kohen Gadol recites, the king recites, except that he inserts a blessing regarding the festivals in place of the blessing regarding the forgiveness of sin. The Kohen anointed for battle, when he addresses the people, speaks in the holy tongue, as it is said, and he shall be drawn, and it shall be when you draw near the battle that the Kohen shall approach. This refers to the Kohen anointed for battle, and shall address the people in the holy tongue. He shall say to them, "Hear, O Israel, you draw near to battle this day against your enemies. It is not against your brothers that you go, and this will not be like Judah against Shimon, or like Shimon against Benjamin, or who, if you fall into their hands, will have mercy upon you," as it is said. And the men who are mentioned by name rose up and took the captives, and clothed all that were naked among them out of the spoil. And they dressed them and shod them and gave them to eat and to drink and anointed them and transported all their feeble among them on donkeys and brought them to Jericho, the city of palms, to their brothers, and they returned to Samaria. Rather, it is against your enemies that you go, who, if you fall into their hands, will have no mercy upon you. Let your heart become faint. Do not fear, nor be terrified. Let your heart not become faint from the neighing of the horses and flashing of the swords. Do not fear at the clanging of the shields and at the sight of the multitude of soldiers, nor be terrified at the sound of trumpets, nor broken from the sound of shouting. For Hashem your God, it is he who is with you. They come trusting in the victory of flesh and blood, but you come trusting in the victory of the Almighty. The Philistines came trusting in the victory of Goliath, but when his end, what was his end? In the end, he fell by the sword, and they fell with him. The Ammonites came trusting in the victory of Shobach, but what was his end? In the end, fell by the sword, and they fell with him. But not so are you, for Hashem your God is with you. He is he who goes with you to fight for you. This refers to the camp with the ark in the midst. And the officer shall speak to the people, saying, who is the man who has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go, return to his house. It is all of same whether he builds a barn, stable, woodshed, or storehouse. It is all the same whether he builds, buys, inherits, or has given it to him as a gift. And he who is a man who has planted a vineyard and not redeemed its fruit, it is all the same whether one plants a vineyard or plants 5 fruit trees, even if they are the 5 species. It is all the same whether he plants layers or grafts, and it is also the same whether he buys, inherits, or has it given to him as a gift. And who is the man who has betrothed a woman? It is all the same whether he betroths a virgin or a woman or a sister-in-law who awaits his Yibum. And even if he heard in battle that his brother died, he returns home. All those in the battle ranks hear the words of the Kohen and return home to supply water and food and to repair the roads.
Okay.
Yoma.
Yama Dalit base.
He tied a strip of red wool to the head of the he-goat which was sent to Aziel and stood facing its destination. On the he-goat that was to be slaughtered, he tied a strip around his neck. Then he comes to his ox a second time and leans both hands upon it and confesses. He would say the following, I beg of you, Hashem, I have acted wickedly, rebelled, and sinned before you. I and my family and the children of Aaron, your holy people, I beg of you, Hashem, forgive now the wicked acts, rebellions, and sins, for I have acted wickedly, rebelled, and sinned before you. I and my family and the children of Aaron, the holy people, as it is written by the Torah in your servant Moshe. On this day he will atone for you, for you to purify you before Hashem for all your sins, that you will be purified. And they answer after him, saying, blessed is the name, the glory of his kingship forever and ever. He slaughtered it, received his blood in a basin, and gave it to someone who would sit in the 4th row of pavement stones for the temples, that it should not coagulate. He took a shovel and went up to the top of the altar, cleared away the coals to one side, and the other scooped it up from the bow, inserted coals descended, and they put it down on the 4th row of the courtyard. Every day he would scoop up the coal with a silver shovel and empty it into one of gold. But today he would scoop over the gold shovel and it would bring it into the coals. Every day he would scoop over the 4th shovel and empty the contents into one of the 3 cobs. But today he would scoop with one of the 3 cobs and he would bring it into the coals. Rabbi Yossi said every day he would scoop with a 1-saw shovel and empty it into a 3-cob shovel. But today he would scoop with a 3-cob shovel and he would bring it to the coals. Every day it was heavy, but today it was light. Every day its handle was short, but today it was long. Every day its gold was yellow, but today it was red. These are the words of Menachem. Every day he offered a mincha offering of incense in the morning and half a manna in the afternoon. And today he added his cup hand fills. And every day was fine, but today it was the finest of the fine.
Yadayim.
Okay. Gimel Hay. A scroll of scripture that was erased, but there remained 85 letters, as many as there are in the passage. And when the ark would travel, Brenda's tummy hands that touch it. A sheet of parchment on which there were written 85 letters, as many as there are in the passage. And when the ark would journey, Brenda's tummy hands that touch it. All the holy scriptures remember tummy hands that touch them. Shir Shirim and Koheles would render tummy hands that touch them. And Rabbi Yehuda says Shir Shirim renders hands from me. But the Koheles is the subject of a dispute. Rabbi Yossi says Koheles does not render hands from me, and Shir Shirim is the subject of a dispute. And Rabbi Shimon says with regard to Koheles, it is one of the base Shammai's leniencies, and Beis Hillel is stringent. Rabbi Ben Azai said, I have a tradition received from the 72 elders on the day that they were appointed by Rabbi Azariah, the head of the yeshiva, that both here Shir and Koheles render tummy hands that touch them. Rabbi Akiva, and heaven forbid, no Jewish person ever argued about Shir that it does not render tummy hands that touch it. For never was the whole world worthy as on the day when Shir Hashirim was given to the Jews, and all Kesubim as holy. But here Shir Hashirim is the holy of holies. If ever they dispute, they only disputed regarding the Koheles. When Rabbi Yochanan, the son of Yeshua, the son of Akiva's father-in-law, said in accordance with the words of the event Azai, so they disputed, and so they decided. On the day that they were counted and they resolved was running a footbath and that measures 2 lugim and 9 kabin, that cracked and is acceptable to Tumas Midrash, for Rabbi Akiva said it is considered a footbath as it is its name. On the day they said all sacrificial offerings that were slaughtered for designation other than their own are valid, but they are not credited to the owner as fulfillment of his obligation, except for the Pesach and Katas offering. The Pesach offering has prayer at proper time and the Katas offering at all times. Rabbi Eliezer says also the Asham offering. The Pesach offering has proper time and the Katas and Asham offering at all times. Rabbi Shimon said that Azai and I have a tradition received from the 72 elders on the day that they approached Eliezer by Aryeh and the head of the yeshiva, that all sacrifices that are eaten that were slaughtered for a designation other than their own are valid, but they are not credited to the owner's fulfillment of the obligation, except for the Pesach and Katas offerings. And Azai added only the Ola offering when the sages did not concur with him.
Okay, and finally,
Sarah. Rios.
Jesus.
Okay. Vav Bet. And Asham Vadadai is unlike this. If it had not even been slaughtered, it may go forth and graze with the flock. If it had already been slaughtered, it must be buried. If the blood has been thrown, the meat must be removed to the place of burning. As ox which is to be stoned is unlike this. If it had not been stoned, it may go forth and graze with the herd. If it had already been stoned, it is permissible to derive benefits from it. A calf that is to be decapitated is unlike this. If it had not yet been decapitated, a man may go forth and graze with the herd. That's not right. It may go forth and graze with the herd. After the calf has been decapitated, it must be buried at the altar, at site. What originally came to atone for a doubtful situation, once it is atoned for its doubt, its purpose has been fulfilled. Reb Eliezer says a person may donate an asham talev any day or any time that he wishes, and this is called an asham of the pious. It was said concerning Baba Ben Buta that he would donate an asham every single day, except one day after Yom Kippur. He said, by this temple, where they permit me, I would bring it, but they tell me, wait until you come into doubt. But the sages say we will not bring an asham toli unless it's something which is for something which, if intentional, bears a penalty of karas, and unintentional is liable to katas. Those liable to katos or unconditional asham for whom Yom Kippur passed are liable to bring them after Yom Kippur. Those liable to conditional ashamos are exempt, and one for whom a doubtful situation has occurred from Kippur, even at dusk, is exempt for the entire day it atones.
Okay. That's us, and I'm gonna run.
Thank you. Have a great day. Enjoy. I'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.